how you leverage the Small Business Association to buy a $4 million business with only $100,000 down. First, of course, you're going to need $100,000. There's a few ways you can come up with that. Obviously, you can have cash or securities that you could liquidate, but you can also use your home equity through a home equity line of credit, so you can tap those funds. You can also tap your retirement account through a Rob structure, or you can get investors, and I'll say the investor appetite for these type of deals is very high. Now, SBA guidelines require a 10% down payment, or their rules specifically say they'll only do a 90% loan to value. The good news is that your down payment doesn't have to come from you. It can come from the seller. So the seller can do what is called a seller's note, where they're going to finance a portion of the sale. If that note is on standby, meaning no interest or principal payments for at least 24 months, it gets to count as equity. Also, the seller could leave some equity in the business, so they can only say they only sell you 90% of the business. So then they've provided that 10% through that vehicle. Now, technically, all of the required down payment, or as banks would call it, equity injection, can come from the seller per SBA guidelines. But in reality, most banks won't do that. Typically, what we see, it's 0% for a GM to buy out a business that they're currently running. It's 2.5% to buy a business within the industry that you currently work on, and everyone else is going to have to bring 5% to the table. So for this example, we have to be buying a business within an industry that we have experience to qualify for the 2.5% down to buy the $4 million business, which buying a business within your industry really is the best way to go. If you can do that, that's always what we recommend, versus buying in an industry that you really have no experience whatsoever. But if we are going to buy outside of our industry, then we're going to need $200,000 down in this example. So generally, businesses that generate about $1 million a year in cash flow sell for 4 times cash flow. So if we do a little algebra, our $4 million business should be generating $1 million a year in cash flow. SBA loans are 10-year term. The current interest rate as we're recording this today is about 11.25% on most deals. So for this example, the annual payment, it's going to be $670,000, which is of course huge sum of money for a loan payment. But the good news is that you do have $1 million of cash flow from the business to make that $670,000 loan payment. So that means that you're going to net $330,000 per year, which is not bad for a $100,000 or $200,000 investment. And if your take-home pay, it's going to grow as you grow revenue and cut expenses. That loan payment is a fixed amount, so as you grow the business, your take-home cash just goes up and up and up. Obviously, got to talk with the bad with the good. If you see declines in revenue or you're not very good at managing expenses, your cash flow is going to go down. So that means you should expect to put some effort into this business. Nothing is truly passive, especially at first. Maybe you can work your way out of a business, but you should never go into something like this thinking that it's going to be completely hands-off. The only time you can do that is if you have a partner that's going to operate it, or if there's a general manager of the business and you're going to give them meaningful equity in the business and that they can run the day-to-day. And of course, we should note this is a risky strategy, but it also has a high rewards if it pays off. So let us know if you want to buy a business together or if you need help with your SBA loan.